Hi moms and dads, a very warm welcome to this episode of today's Parent. It's a beautiful day and we thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Christine Kasina. In today's episode, we are going to talk about how we can foster sibling relationships. Because what happens in many relationships, there are a lot of conflicts here and there. And this is something we want to talk about today, and we are privileged to have Esther the counselor joining us for this show. Esther the counselor.
Yes, Christine.
Karibu sana.
Thank you so much.
Good to have you.
It's a joy to always be back here.
Always a pleasure to have you. Let me ask you something. How many siblings do you have?
I have 3.
You have 3 siblings.
2 brothers and a sister.
2 brothers,
And
1 sister.
Yes.
So you're actually a middle child.
No.
Are you a middle child?
I'm the last born.
Wait, so 2 brothers, so
then
you're
my
the last
sister,
born.
then myself.
Okay.
Yes.
I have 5 siblings.
Oh, wow.
I am in the middle.
Oh,
I
wow.
am right in the middle.
Okay.
So let's just talk
That
about...
says a lot about your personality.
There you go. So let's start off from, now that our topic for today is sibling, just to foster that good sibling relationship.
Yes.
What would you consider as a counselor to be a good, healthy sibling relationship?
Okay. A good, healthy sibling relationship, I think I would start from the point of, I feel I belong. I feel a sense of belonging. I feel a sense of ownership, and I feel a sense of being in a team. However, in as much as I'm in that team, I'm still allowed to remain who I am and to grow into my personality.
That you have your identity.
Yes. I have my identity, but I'm in a team. I have my identity, but I know there are people who have my back. I have my identity, but I feel loved and just accepted the way I am.
That would be a beautiful thing.
Yes.
But I know in many families, and speaking for many, it's something that happens. And I think even as a counselor, you'd consider it to be a normal thing to have a bit of conflict.
Yes.
Right?
Conflict is very healthy.
Right. But
Yes.
when would you consider, within that family setting, that it's a toxic environment for that, that sibling relationship?
Okay. I think I'll start with the parents, because I usually like to start with the parents because it's the parents' show. It starts with the parent first realizing that these are not mini-me's. We like to say this is a small me,
Yes.
a small version of me. So you try to make them be like you, eat like you, dress like you, think like you.
But they're not you.
They're not you.
But they're not you.
So as you even bring forth these children, you need to understand that every child comes with their own temperament and personality.
Right.
Each child will be affected by the sibling position they come in. And each child has their own thoughts and even the way they want to be loved.
Okay.
So for you to first be able to say, I want a healthy sibling relationship among my children, you need to be the one to create that environment.
So how can a parent do that?
How you can do that? First, it starts with you. First, looking at yourself. Am I toxic because of the healthy or unhealthy relationship I had with my siblings? And even with the relationship I have now with my siblings, what am I teaching my children?
Interesting.
Because our children do what we do, not what we say.
And they could be observing
Yes.
that mom and my aunties don't get along,
Thank
but you
you.
feel or you think that they don't know, or you think they don't know.
They know. Children know. Children know the slightest of hints. Children know even when we are not talking. They know in the silence. So how are you relating with your own siblings? Are you having a healthy relationship with them?
Yeah.
Or are you the people who just meet over Christmas and then that's it, you go live your life?
And at weddings and funerals.
Thank you. And you don't even take time to say, let me check up on my brother. Let me see how my brother is doing. Let me support my sister in this and that. So it starts with your own relationship with your own siblings.
That's interesting. So if a parent is watching and possibly they have some issues going on between them and their siblings that have, for a span of 30, 40 years.
Yes.
Do you think at this point in time they should be thinking of, course correcting what had happened between them and their siblings?
Yes. And it's never too late. Like I keep saying, as long as you're breathing, there's
it's
always a
never too
second,
late.
a third, a fourth, and a fifth chance. So if you're aware of that, you're the one who needs to start initiating the healing process for you to go back and have a healthy relationship with your own siblings. So it's for you to come to that place of realization, because I didn't have a good relationship with my sister. But right now, she's out of the country, but we keep talking. I'd call her, she's in the office, she'd be like, I need to talk to my sister. Because at some point we've
Wow.
deliberately decided we need to work on our relationship.
Wow.
Yes. But also I want to thank my mom, let me say that now, because she has also ensured that we maintain a healthy relationship among us and among our own children.
Right.
Yes.
No, that's a good thing.
Yes.
Speaking of which, you did mention you are the last born.
Yes, I'm the last born.
I don't know why you look like a firstborn, but anyway.
Story for another day.
Let me ask you. Speaking about, in the scope of sibling relationships,
Yes.
your firstborn, your thirdborn, your lastborn, for example. Is it easier for, say, the firstborn to get along better with the lastborn and then the middle child always feeling left out? Or, I'm just wondering, this in the issue of the order of who is where.
Yes.
Does it affect how siblings relate?
It definitely does.
It does, eh?
Because the firstborn is all about leadership and power, and they know it because they've been there before. The lastborn is all about being pampered and being loved, and so they're envious of the firstborn because they're thinking, why is the firstborn doing 1, 2, 3, and I can't do?
Yeah.
And then, like you said, there's the middle one who's usually forgotten. They're like, don't forget me, where am I in all this?
Yeah.
So they're trying to fight for their space. But even with all those dynamics, you can still have a very healthy relationship. What you need to do is become an intentional parent now that you're aware of these dynamics. What you can do is, like the middle child, involve them more. Make them feel part of the team more,
Right.
so they
Right.
don't feel like they've been left out. The firstborn, it's okay for him to be a leader, but you also need to make them aware that there's the lastborn and the middle, and they're
Yeah.
not at your stage.
No.
And there's the lastborn who doesn't want to listen to the firstborn, and you need to make them aware that this is the leader of the family. So it's about treating each child, like I say, uniquely, making them aware of their position, but also don't forget their personalities. Because like you say, I don't look like the last one because I'm a very strong-willed person.
Yeah.
But when you see me with my firstborn, I take a back
You take
seat.
your position.
Yes,
You
because
take your
I know.
position.
Yes,
It
because
is
I
funny.
know.
It's funny as we speak. John has sent us an SMS on our number 22999 and he's saying, how come older siblings are always so mean to younger ones? I don't know if this is a general perception or it's what it is, but John truly feels that older siblings are just mean to the young ones. Is it true?
It's not always the case, but you see, they're leaders. They're already at that place where they've been able to cultivate some of the life skills. So they're thinking,
Right.
eat quickly. Why are you being slow?
Yeah.
Do this fast.
Yeah.
Or I'm the leader. Listen to me. Because they're also still maturing. They didn't wake up and they were given the leadership manual because we made them the leader. So they're also learning how to be leaders along the way.
Yeah.
And if you as a parent, you've been a bit harsh and a bit mean, that is what the firstborn will do.
They model your behavior as well.
Yes, they model your behavior. They model who you are as a leader. And so what happens is they pick up, and then when they're trying to be a leader to the younger ones,
Yeah.
they feel they're being harassed because that's not mommy and daddy. But there's also what we call sibling bullying. So you need to be aware that the older ones are not actually bullying the younger ones. We need to be very clear that there's no physical, verbal, or even
Emotional,
sexual or emotional
Oh, wow.
abuse. We need to be very clear on that. So we as parents need to be very present and very intentional that, parenting is not just an everyday thing. I need to be present there. I need to read. I need to inform myself.
Yeah.
I need to watch today's parents.
There you go. And that's a very deep point that you mentioned, that within siblings you could have something like sexual bullying and maybe a parent doesn't know.
Yes.
That would be very sad.
It is
That
very
would be very
sad.
sad.
It is very sad. But what happens is someone who perpetrates abuse, they've been abused before. So that's why I keep saying, as the parent, you need to have created a very safe space for your children.
Right.
So that if one has been abused, it doesn't go to the next and to the next and to the next. It's because they're also not aware of it.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Yeah.
let's not blame them so much or blame the parents so much. Yes.
Esther,
Yes.
let's talk about what would happen if we don't foster, a healthy sibling relationship. What would happen?
Thinking about it long term, you can't divorce your siblings. Those are the only constant people
Family
who
is
will
family.
be in your life. And at the end of the day, family is family. You have to go back to family. So you have to think as a parent long term. What are my goals in terms of my children? When I'm no longer there, I've grown old and I've left them, what legacy do I want to leave in my children? Is it unity, or is it everyone just being individualistic or living their own lives?
Right.
So long term, if there's not been any healthy sibling relationship, this person feels alienated. They don't feel a sense of belonging. Yet we are created to be very relational people. And our relationships begin in the family. So if your family does not make you feel like you belong, where will you belong in this world?
Most likely nowhere.
Nowhere. And this is where self-esteem issues creep in, depression, anxiety, because you're not settled. You don't feel like you have a place in this world. So a lot of psychological effects are there in the long term in terms of even your own personal relationships. Outside the family, other relationships are affected because of how you related with your siblings.
I can imagine even at work.
Yes.
And your future spouse.
And that's why we say charity begins at home. Whatever you do in the house, for the 18 years your children are there, is what they will carry out there. So if you've been fostering healthy relationships, and healthy relationships involve conflict, involve sharing, also involve giving each other space, but coming together.
I have a question on sharing,
Yes.
which reminds me of my eldest son and my young son. My eldest is almost a teen,
Yes.
and the young one knows he's powerful because he's small.
Yes.
So what happens, the small one will pick something that the big one is maybe playing with, and then automatically as a parent he will say, mwachie ye ni
Mdogo.
mwachie ye ni mdogo. Do you think in a way, every time somehow that we give leeway to the younger one, we somehow affect the older one in one way or another?
You do. Definitely
Yeah.
you do. Because they know if this was their toy, they know this is mine. So how is it that it's been taken from me without you asking me if it's okay to give it out?
So we should ask for permission, not
Yes.
mpatie sababu ni mdogo.
Yes, sio sababu ni mdogo umpatie. And the younger one, you've told them, because you will always be the last one, or you're the younger one, you'll always have your way.
And you will always, that is true.
What have you taught your children?
That you'll always have your way. But then
And
in a
the
way, it
older
puts
one,
a rift there.
it will be like, I can't really have my own things.
No.
So self-esteem issues, issues of not feeling like they belong, issues of feeling like they're not loved enough.
And favorism.
Yes, and favorism. They're like, mom always favors the younger one. Mom is always taking care of the younger one. Who is taking care of me?
Esther,
Yes.
I want to ask you a question. Do you have people who come to see you, in your practice as Esther the counselor, who've over the years have been affected by the relationship they've had with their siblings, and it's really affected their lives?
Yes, I can say initially most of the clients who come in come with present day issues. But when we go deep, because I usually say in my practice, I don't deal with the symptoms, I deal with the root cause. When you go deeper, the issue didn't start with what is currently happening, but what happened in their childhood, how the parenting affected them, and even how their siblings treated them. And so they're able to carry this now into their present day issues.
Wow.
And now this is when their world is falling apart. So sibling relationships have a big part to play in terms of someone's mental health and even their well-being in the future. What I have seen, there are people who come with marriage issues, but it's not the spouse with the issue. It comes from the family of origin, how they were treated by their siblings or their parents. I've had people with self-esteem issues because as a sibling said 1, 2, 3, maybe they said you're adopted and you really weren't adopted, or they said you're ugly. So you've carried that with you all your life and you've been trying to look beautiful or, to beat what they said. Or it's the way someone treated you once or twice, or the way they treated you over a period of time. And now you're not feeling good enough, and your self-esteem is really down there.
Wow.
Or you're even having a depression phase, because what is happening, you can't go back to your family for support.
No.
Because you didn't have a healthy relationship when you were growing up. So you
hear
feel alone. And because of bottling up all these feelings and the stress and the pressure of life, you get into a depressive phase. So sibling relationships have a big impact on one's well-being in the long run.
Let's take a short break, Esther, and then when we come back, we continue with our conversation. And the one thing I'm just sitting here thinking is that we normally pass the buck a lot to the parent.
Yes.
You sitting here as a sibling, as I sit here, I'm also a sibling.
Yes.
Maybe there are things as siblings that we are doing that we need to course correct even as we sit here, and the other people are watching what we can do better as siblings.
Thank you.
Let's take a break, we continue. Welcome back to this insightful episode of Today's Parent, where we have Esther, the counselor. We are talking about how we can foster healthier sibling relationships. I want to start with a question, even to you, the viewer. Have you been a good sibling? Esther?
Yes.
And that's how we start our second part.
Yes.
A question to you, to me, and everybody who's watching.
True, because here's the thing is, the thing is this, you can't take someone where you have never been.
No.
You can't teach your children to be kind to each other if you've never been kind to your sibling. You can't teach your children to be patient with each other if you've never been patient with your own sibling. You can't teach your children to love each other and to be healthy with each other.
Right.
If you have never done that with your own siblings. So it starts with you. And it really, we keep saying, if the narrative has to change,
It starts with us.
It starts with us,
And
not
it starts
with our
with me,
children.
it starts with you.
Yes, it starts with us. So even as we are talking about how to do it with our children, first start with yourself.
What do you think we can do as siblings, by the way? What can we do?
Start the conversation. If you need to go for therapy, that's why we're here as counselors, Go on the internet, read, just start your own journey of healing.
Right.
Everyone has their own unique way of healing in a very healthy way, but you just need to start. It doesn't have to start with the other person. If you've become aware at this point, I challenge you, be the one to change the narrative in your family.
About talking about changing the narrative, we have a question that has come in from Florence.
Yes.
Now, Florence has sent us a question and she's asking, she hasn't talked to her sibling for the past 5 years. And she doesn't know where to start from to change this narrative of starting the conversation of reconciliation. Let's just get over whatever it was and move forward. Where can somebody like Florence start from?
Start with a simple hello, how are you doing? It starts with a simple cup of tea. It starts with a simple conversation of what are you up to now?
But how do you deal with the rejection if they decide not to pick your call or block you?
Manage your expectations. At least you did it. At least you started the journey. If they're not ready, at least you planted a seed. We always say every action is a seed. You've planted a good seed. Eventually, it will come to fruition. When? You may never know.
Okay.
Yes.
What else can we do as siblings?
As siblings, what else we can do? We need to create family rituals. And this goes back to
even as siblings.
Us as parents. Yes.
So then let's start with what we can do as parents.
Yes.
And then probably we can tackle the sibling part, right?
It is fine.
So what can a parent do to foster a healthy relationship amongst, their children?
Okay. First, it starts with creating the right environment in the home. And this means you need to be very deliberate in terms of having activities as a family. It could be as simple as just having dinner together once a week. And we're not going out of the family setting.
Within the home?
Yes. We could have breakfast on Sunday morning before we go to church.
As a family?
As a family, all of us together. It could be we're actually just going to church, all of us as a family. I know there are families that go to separate churches. But now we're saying we're going to have very deliberate things we can do on an everyday basis that bring us together.
So number one, a weekly breakfast.
It could be a weekly breakfast.
It could be a weekly breakfast,
It could be a weekly meal. It could be a weekly meeting. Even as families, we need to have meetings where we actually sort out issues. This week, there was no water. So what do we do as a family with the water issue? Before we even go to the deep issues. This week, this one finished breakfast faster than me, so I didn't get bread. Just have a family baraza. People don't have a family baraza.
People used to have those, by the way, and we see them in the movies.
Yes, the tiny issues of this one finished the toothpaste or this one didn't close the toothpaste well.
So creating that avenue where conversations can be heard and everybody's voice is heard.
Yes, everyone's voice has to be heard in that environment. So it's for you as the parent, because you're the leader, to create that space.
That's a good point.
Yes, but even as you're creating space to be together, create space for individuality. Allow each child to be who they are. Allow each child to grow into who they're supposed to become. Think of having team building events.
Team building for the family.
Yes. Let's go wash the car, and then start playing with the water.
I was waiting for you to say we go to an exotic location. No?
I like to be very practical. This is Kenya.
I meant to that.
Not everyone can afford that.
If
you can, please make vacations a family tradition that every month, every time during this time of the year, we are going away as a family.
This is our family tradition.
And not the extended, first the nuclear. First you're saying, as this small family, these are our traditions. Then these traditions, we take them to the bigger family. Yes. So don't let the small family be absorbed into the bigger one.
Right.
Always remain as a nuclear family. Always, always, always. But in that nuclear family, maintain the individual identity. After creating the space, create the space for communication. Create lines of communication. Not upward down, you should also have downward up. You know, I keep saying, we as parents, we really want to love our children, but our children have different love languages. Make sure your boundaries are very clear, and as a parent, always be consistent with your boundaries. Don't allow one to cross a boundary and you don't give the same repercussions like another one would.
Also, one is punished unfairly compared to another one.
Yes, that also brings in favorism and sibling rivalry.
That's true, because you feel one is,
one is being favored over the other. If this one did this, mom won't do anything to them. So as a parent, be very clear on the boundaries of this family. Be very clear
and the consequences.
On the consequences. And also be very clear on the rewards. You know, we also focus so much on the negative.
Oh, but that's the other one.
But there's the positive.
Because,
what are the rewards?
And I think it's also about being fair with the rewarding system.
Yes.
Because you find maybe so-and-so this time is number one and they get to go for a movie.
Yes.
And then this other one is bought a simple sharpener and whatever set from.
True.
And you're like, even me, I wanted to go for the movie. How come?
Be very clear on the rewards.
That's a good one.
Be very, very clear. If this is what you're getting because you attained 1, 2, 3, they all get the same. Also, like I keep saying, you can't give them a uniform reward.
No.
Like we all can't wear the same uniform and we're different ages, but make sure everyone feels accommodated.
And based on personality and what they like, what they love.
Yes, yes. Also be aware that there are age gaps, so that will bring conflict, and conflict is also very healthy if managed in a very productive way. Sometimes it's okay for them to differ, but you need to bring them to a place where they say, what is the middle ground? What are we agreeing to disagree? Or what are we agreeing on? You know,
I'm just wondering, Esther, if at this point in time, you can share with with our parents who are watching some Kofi Annan tips on how to resolve these conflicts between siblings, because you don't want to look like you're playing favorites.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
So how do you do it in a diplomatic way? How do you do it to have that middle ground?
First, for every conflict, it's very unique. So don't come with a bias that these ones are always fighting. You know, that's what happens. And you're like, this is how I'll sort it. I won't even listen. First, be very open to that experience. Go there first to listen. Don't go there first to talk to them.
To try and sort it out.
And sort it out and tell them, stop that, or that is wrong. Go and listen, because they all have what they want to be listened, to be heard, and they have their own viewpoints. So listen to them. Then ask them, now that you've listened to each other, how do we move forward? Sometimes you even create an environment where they come up with their own solutions. Don't be the one to always give solutions.
Yeah.
Be the one to create the environment.
Then they sort it out themselves.
Very true.
And then people hug at the end of it.
They don't have to hug. As in, really, who came up with that?
I'm a hugger. I'm sorry.
That's you. But you don't have to kiss and make up all the time. Sometimes it's okay for them to take space, breathe, take a breather from each other.
But at least say sorry at the end of it, right?
Let me ask you, when you disagree with someone very close with, sometimes you take the space to just clear your bad vibes, your negative
But
energy.
after having a conversation,
you come back together. Yes, you can have the conversation, but sometimes you don't make up immediately. Yeah. Sometimes it takes some time.
That's true.
So
that's
also
true.
allow that. Allow them to understand how conflicts take place out there. Because like I say, what you're teaching them here is what they'll take out there. So don't put them in a bubble. Then when they go out there, there's no bubble. It's real life happening, and you didn't equip them.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
What of a situation, especially from, wearing that cap of a counselor, that these siblings, you are looking at them or the situation you've been given, you feel like they will never get along, and they're telling you, I know I will never get along with my brother or my sister. What tips can you share with a sibling like that on just how to, I don't know, just let things be, or let it go, or find a way to thrive regardless of the situation? What tips can you share with, in a situation like that?
The first thing is to listen to what makes them feel that they will never cope with their sibling. Get to understand the real story. Then from the story, be able to pick up the beliefs from what actually happened. Sometimes it's our beliefs that keep us there. It's not actually what happened. We usually say it is not what happens to you, but what you make of what happens to you that affects you. So it's what they made of what affected them. It's not what actually happened. Then from there, be able to look at how to able to start bringing in the unity and the conversations for them to start getting back together. But you need to talk to both parties.
Right.
You need to talk to this one who feels aggrieved. You need to talk to this one who is being who's the one meting out the grievances, or who's not being fair in this circumstance. Then be able to bring them together. Sometimes you can talk to them separately and then bring them together at some point, then have that conversation. The thing is, we're not having enough conversations in the house. We need to put down our gadgets. Sometimes we need to switch off our TVs and have the conversations, because with proper communication, healthy relationships thrive.
Absolutely.
With miscommunication and no communication, that's when
conflict just thrive there as well.
Conflict really thrives and grows and becomes a huge
small
monster.
thing becomes such a big thing. Whoever said, whoever was not, oh my gosh.
Yes.
That's true.
So the other thing as parents, even as you're creating this space, understand the age gaps, understand the different personalities, understand what are your goals in your parenting, but even as a family, what are your goals? You know, what I keep saying is, we go to work every day, we have goals for the year. What are your goals for your family?
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
Yes, because if you're very clear on the goals, then you know what you're working towards. If you don't have goals, you don't know what you're working towards.
There you go.
And you also need, as a family, to take stock. The same way you close your business for stock taking, profit, loss, balance sheet, you need to do the same with your family. Then be able to gauge, are we in a healthy environment? Because it's us who are creating it.
Wonderful.
Or are we in an unhealthy environment?
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Esther, as we wind up, your final parting shot, you know, when it comes to fostering and building that healthy sibling relationship, what can you leave our parents with?
As I was thinking about the parting shot, I saw this quote. Let's raise children who won't have to recover from their childhood.
Oh, wow. That's a deep one.
Be very intentional. That when my children are growing up, they've grown up, they're not recovering from their childhood. They're actually wanting to relive it and to thrive in it. Because at the end of the day, as old as you are, there's always the little child in you.
And the siblings that you have, the sister love, the brother love.
Yes.
Very important.
So we need to be very deliberate in our parenting to create the space, to create rituals, to open up the communication, and to accept each individual so that healthy relationships thrive in the family.
Thank you, Esther.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And on that note, we come to the end of today's episode. Esther, the counselor, has shared tips with you, and I hope you're going to pick one or two, whether it's going to have a family baraza, see how you can pick up your phone and make that phone call after 5 years. See how you can make up with your sibling. There's nothing like sister love. There's nothing like brother love. Let's not let it go to waste. I have been your host, Christine Casina. I hope you found this show to be very insightful. And if there's anything you want us to talk about when it comes to matter siblings, just send us an SMS on 22999 and we'll see how we can invite Esther the counselor back. We've been here in studio at Little Cribs. This is where you come to if you're looking for exciting, good-looking kids furniture. Please make sure you check them out. For parenting resources, go to www.supermamas.co.ke. I hope you are going to have a wonderful day, and I wish you the very best as you foster wonderful sibling relationships. See you next time.